You want the best for your car? You already watch our tutorials.
So the best place for the best deal is to buy from the Mr. Auto app. Easy, fast, and with better prices than on the website.
You will find the sash shock absorbers used in the video through the link in the description. Turn your engine off, pull up the handbrake, pull on the bonnet release lever, and open the bonnet. Use a flathead screwdriver to remove the protective cover from the shock absorber heads. Using a 13mm spanner, unscrew the 3 holding nuts on the shock absorber by a few threads in order to create some slack for the next manipulations. During this operation, you will work on the front end of your car. When you change the front shock absorbers on your vehicle, it is advised to check the wheel alignment. Loosen the stud bolts on the front wheels. You must remove the wheels in order to change the front shock absorbers on your car. This will give you full access to the suspension system. Lift the front of the vehicle. Place the vehicle on the axle stands. We strongly suggest watching the tutorial, raising your vehicle safely before carrying out this step. Don't forget to slide them under the vehicle. You now have to remove the upper ball from the sway bar link. To do this, we recommend that you watch the video How to Replace the Sway Bar Links Fiesta 7. Using a flathead screwdriver, remove the ABS sensor hose, then remove it. Brush the brake hose mounting bracket and spray it with penetrating oil. Using a 10mm spanner, unscrew the holding base on the brake hose. Then remove it. Brush the 2 screws on the shock absorber base and spray them with degreaser. Be careful not to get any degreaser on the disc. If you do, make sure to decontaminate the disc using brake cleaner. Using a socket wrench, an 18mm socket and a 15mm spanner, release the 2 nuts on the shock absorber base. Remove the lug nuts. You can use a small mallet to do this. Prepare a stable elevated surface to place all the stub axle once you've removed it. Disconnect the shock absorber base from the stub axle. The base of the shock absorber should now be free. Hold the shock absorber with one hand and finish unscrewing the retaining nuts with the other. Remove the shock absorber. In order to change the shock absorber, you must now separate it from the spring. You can find a description of the tool used in the video, which we think is most adapted to the operation. Careful! Pay attention as you compress the spring. This is not without risk and should be undertaken paying very careful attention. Position the shock absorber in the vise. Then tighten the shock absorber spring compressors. Check that they're properly held by the locking studs, then slowly compress the spring using the socket wrench and the appropriate socket. Once the shock absorber is free in the spring, you can use an 18mm offset wrench and a 6mm Allen key to unscrew the suspension strut support bearing. In the most extreme cases, you have to use an impact wrench. You can also use the specific tool used in the video, which will make the task much easier. Then remove the strut mount assembly, the shock absorber stop, the protective sleeve. Remove the shock absorber from the spring.
All parts used in this tutorial are supplied by our trusted partners. These partners also help us create as many video tutorials as possible. Check them out in the description below.
You will find the sash parts and products used in the video in the link in the description. Before installing the new shock absorbers, it is necessary to prime them by pressing the shock absorber rod vertically so that the gas and the hydraulic fluid are separated. Unscrew the lock nut on the stem. Position everything in the spring. Then install the shock absorber stop, the protective sleeve, the upper shock absorber support, the shock absorber mount, start to screw the nut in a little. Be careful to properly position the support bearing in the upper spring support, and finish by unscrewing the lug nut onto the shock absorber stem. Make sure it is well tightened. Unscrew the spring compression tool, paying attention to the position of the spring on the lower shock absorber support. You have now finished preparing the new part. Clean the bearing surface of the shock absorber mount with a brush. Insert the shock absorber starting from the top part. Roughly retighten the nuts holding the suspension strut support bearing. Insert the steering knuckle into the foot of the shock absorber. Put the screws back in place and screw them in. Finish off the tightening with a torque wrench. Remove the jack. Put the sway bar link back in place. Finish off the tightening with a torque wrench. Clip the ABS sensor hose back in. Screw the holding base on the brake hose. Then you will be able to put the wheels back on your vehicle. Put your car back on the ground and block the wheels properly. You can finish tightening the 3 nuts holding the suspension strut support bearing with a torque wrench once the vehicle is on the ground. Operation completed.
Hi, it's Theo from UseTool. I hope this video has helped you a lot in your car maintenance. We would be super grateful if you could spread the word so that we can produce even more tutorials. Simply give us a like, a comment, and hit that subscribe button. It really helps us boost the channel and help the whole community. Thanks a lot and have a great one.